Hey everybody, Jay here. Welcome back to the channel. We're continuing on our ATV maintenance series. So today we're going to get right into it. We're going to do our front axle oil and our rear axle oil and our winch and our air filter. Kind of a mixed bag video, but anyways, ATVs, much like vehicles, they need maintenance. They have oils, they require periodic maintenance. So anyways, on our Big Bear 2001 here, 400 4x4, this is four-wheel drive all the time, and we have what's called a front differential in here. There is oil in here that lubricates a whole gear set. And also in the rear here, we have same thing. We have what's called, they call it a pumpkin. It's full of oil, and occasionally you need to change it because yeah, it's good to service your equipment. We just finished our oil change on this, so let's go ahead and pop right into the maintenance on the front of this. First thing we're gonna do, turn the wheel, make life easier, is we're gonna open up, this is our fill. We're gonna actually open up our fill here and allow this to vent when we drain it from underneath. So let's get our pan, let's clean our pan out from our last oil change, slide it underneath, and we'll be good to roll. All right, so we're gonna take our socket here, happens to be a 17 millimeter, and we're gonna peacefully, one-handedly crack this free. Okay, so now, take my extension off, ratchet off, excuse me, and we can take our fill out, which will allow this to vent. And it's gonna bleed out a little bit of old fluid there. That stuff is gross. Wow, looks like molasses. So if you, those you know me, anytime you take a nut, bolt, drain plug, separate container. Okay, so let's climb underneath, find out the size, and we'll drain. All right, so we had to take the skid plate off, which took me a hot minute, but now we can get our 10 millimeter underneath here. Obviously there's a hole in the frame for it, but I think I'm gonna drill a hole in the skid plate. There we go, just to make life easier. So we broke that free. Let's see if we can get this out peacefully and don't drop our camera in the petrol. Oh yeah, look at that wax. Gross. I'm gonna let that drain for a bit. That stuff's nasty. Nasty looking. Looks like maple syrup. All right, so we're gonna let that drain, and then we will fill it with some fresh 80 weight gear oil. Yeah, so see you in a minute. This is what we'll be using. I like the Napa brand. This is 80/90, obviously, gear oil. So yes, let's let that drain, and we will refill it when it's done draining. Stuff's thick, so it's gonna take a minute. All right, so again, working out of our little tray here, we want to clean our drain plug here, drain bolt. Same thing with our fill. Make sure these are all clean, and then add some never sees to the threads. These don't get as hot as like an engine case, like a drain bolt, but again, it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt. So let's bring this back over to the machine and install them, and then we'll put our oil in. All right, so now that we're done draining, we're gonna get the pan out of here. And then we're gonna get our socket and put our bolt back, drain bolt back in. Let's go ahead and tighten it. Okay, and that shall do. All right, so we got the jack underneath here. We pretty much leveled the ATV as best we could for being on the tar. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab a bottle of our juice here, and we're gonna start filling the beast. And now that we got you guys in place here, we can take our quart of oil and get it in there. A little bit of spillage, but basically want to fill it. I think it only takes a half a quart. You want to fill it pretty much right up to the threads. All right, folks, let me get you in here. Hopefully you can see that oil is just about dripping out the threads. So we have about half a quart we put in there. So that's perfect. We're gonna go ahead and put our cap back on and we'll be good to roll. Okay, so obviously too, we can, after we run this, drive it around a bit, we can check it, but for the most part, that should do it. Get our cap in, if I can get it started. Can't really see because I'm working around the camera, but there we go. All right, let's get the extension, give that a quick yank. All right, let's move on to the rear. So yeah, we put in about a third or so of a quart, but obviously we'll run it around, we'll check it, and yeah, should be good though. But that's a good start for sure. It doesn't call for much fluid in there, so I think that's about right. I'll check my manual when we're done, but it was right to the thread, so we're good. Let's move on to the rear. All right, so moving on to the rear, there's our fill hole right here. Drains on the bottom. However, we have a skid plate to take off, so let's take off that bolt there. Skid plate should fall off, then we'll be able to drain the rear pumpkin. Okay. All right, so there is our drain bolt. It's an Allen head, which is fascinating. So let's go ahead and get the appropriate socket. So we're gonna take our fill off. Okay. Oil is already right to the top, so not a bad sign. I don't know, got a good feeling about this. Yeah, wow. There we go. Okay. Get ready for the flood. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, that fluid looks a lot better than up front. Well, we're here, we're changing it, so no big deal. All right, you guys have seen me do this here. So again, cleaning all our fittings here. Add a little bit of never sees to the threads. This one's good to roll. We'll put this down, hopefully it doesn't fall in the sand. Clean our fill cap, and we'll prep that. Put a little never sees on this as well. And now we can go ahead and install it. Okay, it didn't take long to drain. So we're gonna put our drain plug back in. Just like such. Get our Allen wrench. Give it a good snug, and we're good to fill this with oil. All right, so we're gonna get this pan out of here. We're just gonna start slowly filling this with oil up until the drain, right to the threads. All right, filled up right to the threads, so we're just gonna go ahead and pop our fill bolt back on here. I don't have a socket this big, believe it or not, so we're just gonna go ahead and use our pliers there. And that's it. Let's put our skid plate on and we'll wrap up. All right, folks, well, I think that pretty much covers it. We did the front end and then we did the rear end oils. Again, doesn't hurt. A little maintenance goes a long way. So again, just remember, use the correct weight oil. This front and rear both called for 80 weight. And again, it doesn't hurt to change. It's literally 1 quart between the front and rear end. So literally, even if you changed it annually, what are you in, $8? So again, little maintenance goes a long way. The front was way worse than the rear. Looked like the previous, I've never done any of this to this machine. This is the first time I've actually serviced it. So we did the oil change last video. Looks like he did the rear, but he didn't do the front, because normally they're the same consistently either way, because this is 4-wheel drive all the time. So anyways, hopefully the wind's not too bad. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions below on front or rear axle oil change, let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And like I always say, we will see you out in the woods.